Welcome, dear reader. Have you ever felt that your mind is running faster than you can handle, jumping from one thought to another without giving you rest? It feels like you are sitting inside a moving train with no brakes, watching ideas, worries, and memories rush past you. But what if you could slow it down? What if you could guide your thoughts instead of being controlled by them? Stay with this story, because what you are about to read may completely change the way you understand your own mind. In this unusual story, the mind is not something hidden. It is a living world, vast and always moving. There are no people here, no names, no faces, only forces and patterns that represent how thinking works. Some parts of this world are peaceful, while others are full of noise and confusion. But here is the mystery. Why does the same world feel calm at one moment and chaotic at another? What hidden rule controls this change? As the story unfolds, you will discover a powerful truth. Your mind does not need to be stopped. It needs to be understood. And once you understand it, you can begin to guide it. This journey will not give you magic solutions, but it will show you something more important. A simple way to take control, step by step. Far beyond the limits of ordinary understanding, there existed an endless landscape known as the inner field. This field was not made of soil or stone, but of thoughts, emotions, and silent reactions that shaped its form every moment. It had no fixed shape, no permanent structure, and no clear boundaries. It expanded and changed continuously, reflecting everything that passed through it. Sometimes it appeared calm and open, like a wide sky with no clouds, and at other times it became crowded and heavy, filled with fast-moving patterns that were difficult to follow. Across this inner field moved countless streams of thought, like invisible winds flowing in every direction at once. These winds never stopped. Some were slow and gentle, carrying simple ideas and quiet reflections, while others were fast and strong, filled with urgency, worry, and endless questioning. The strange part was that these winds did not have power on their own. They only became stronger when they were noticed and followed. The more attention they received, the more they grew, spreading across the field and influencing everything around them. At the center of this vast landscape existed a silent presence known as awareness. It had no form, no voice, and no weight, yet it held the greatest power in the entire field. Wherever awareness moved, the energy of the field followed. If it rested on calm and steady thoughts, the field slowly became peaceful. If it focused on chaos and fear, the entire landscape began to shift into disorder. This invisible connection between attention and experience was the most important rule of the inner field, though it was not obvious at first. In many areas of the field, there were repeating patterns, well-worn paths created by thoughts that had been followed many times before. These paths felt familiar and easy to walk on, even when they led into confusion or negativity. The more they were used, the deeper they became, turning into automatic routes that pulled awareness without effort. It became clear that not all thinking was a choice. Some of it was simply habit, built slowly over time. There was a particularly intense region known as the storm zone, where fast and aggressive winds gathered. These winds carried fear, doubt, overthinking, and imagined problems that seemed real in the moment. Once awareness entered this area and stayed there, the storm grew stronger, pulling more energy into itself. The longer attention remained in the storm, the harder it became to leave, creating a cycle that felt endless and overwhelming. Not far from the storm zone, there existed a very different place, a calm and quiet region known as the still garden. Here, the winds moved slowly, and the space felt open and clear. Thoughts existed, but they did not rush or collide. Instead, they appeared gently and passed without resistance. However, reaching this garden required effort. Awareness had to move intentionally, choosing not to follow the louder and more demanding winds of the storm. One of the most important discoveries in the inner field was a simple but powerful truth. Energy flows where attention goes. This rule explained everything. The field itself was not creating chaos or peace on its own. Awareness was shaping it through focus. This meant that control was not about fighting thoughts, but about deciding where to place attention. There were moments when sudden disturbances appeared in the field, triggered by external signals or internal memories. These disturbances created strong waves of thought that spread quickly, making it feel as if control had been lost completely. In such moments, awareness was often pulled automatically, reacting without pause or understanding. These were the most challenging times, when the field felt unpredictable and difficult to manage. Hidden beneath all this movement, there existed a steady and constant rhythm known as the breath anchor. Unlike the changing winds, this rhythm was always present, slow and reliable. When awareness connected to this anchor, something remarkable happened. The field did not stop moving, but its intensity began to reduce. The storm softened, the winds slowed, and space began to appear between thoughts. At first, holding attention on the breath anchor was not easy. The winds constantly tried to pull awareness away, offering distractions, worries, and urgent thoughts that demanded focus. But with practice, awareness learned to return again and again, strengthening its ability to stay grounded even when the field was active. As time passed, it became clear that controlling the mind did not mean stopping all thoughts or creating perfect silence. The inner field was designed to move, to generate ideas, and to respond to experiences. True control meant developing the ability to observe without being pulled, to choose focus instead of reacting automatically. In another part of the field stood a high and distant place known as Clarity Peak. This was the only point from which the entire landscape could be seen clearly, without distortion. The journey to this peak was not simple. The path was long and filled with distractions, requiring consistent effort and patience. As awareness slowly moved toward Clarity Peak, something began to change. The winds did not disappear, but they became less powerful. Thoughts still existed, but they felt lighter, easier to observe without being followed. The higher awareness climbed, the more space it gained from the chaos below. Upon reaching the peak, the entire field appeared different. The storm zone, the still garden, and all the pathways were visible at once. Instead of feeling trapped inside them, awareness could now see them as parts of a system, each with its own role. This shift in perspective created a deep sense of understanding and calm. From this position, it became easier to guide attention with intention. Instead of being controlled by every passing thought, awareness could choose where to go, when to stay, and when to move. This was not forceful control, but gentle direction, based on understanding rather than resistance. Even after leaving Clarity Peak, the knowledge remained. The field continued to move and change, but awareness was no longer lost within it. It had learned how to return to the breath anchor, how to avoid being trapped in the storm zone, and how to move toward calm when needed. The inner field never became perfect, and it was not meant to. There were still moments of confusion, sudden storms, and unexpected thoughts. But now, these experiences were different. They were observed, understood, and allowed to pass, instead of being followed blindly. And so, the field continued its endless movement, shaped by attention, guided by awareness, and balanced by understanding. Because in the end, controlling the mind is not about stopping the winds. It is about learning how to stand steady while they pass, choosing your focus with quiet strength.